Across Central Oregon on this Thursday, we've had more cloud cover. There's just no precipitation in sight in the next couple of days. Even more sunshine is expected with a heating trend that continues. That's right, today we're running about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than it was 24 hours ago. By tomorrow, well into the 80s, and then it continues to heat up a little bit more. Hey everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist Darrell Winninger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. We're about to take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Look at what's been happening and the changes that are right down the pike. Now, that's going to happen through the next several minutes, so buckle up. It's going to be fun. We're going to start off with what it looks like right now across Central Oregon. There is some cloud cover out there, but this is all high-level cloud cover, and it's filtering the sunshine at best. It slowed it down just a little bit, but still not quite near average for this time of the year, so a little unseasonably cool, if you will, but it feels pretty pleasant. And when we focus on satellite and radar, we do not see any precipitation near us. Now, what we're looking at right here is a blend of infrared and visible satellite imagery and radar sun on top of that, but you can only see a few blips on radar right around Florence and getting closer to the coastline. We have to actually move the camera to find more showers, and some of that is over the Olympic Peninsula, Vancouver Island, through the Puget Sound and up to the west slopes of the Cascades of Washington. Nowhere near Central Oregon, and going west to east, this same front stretches into BC, Canada, but we're at the tail end of that front, and it's just bringing us cloud cover for the high desert. Now, again, this cloud cover is mostly upper level, and it's just filtering out the sunshine, and it's still allowed temperatures to pick up a little bit more, but not as much heating as we're expecting through the day tomorrow. We're going to come back to satellite imagery and look at the bigger picture in just a little bit. Let's go back and just focus on what we can expect, because it is a big weekend. We have Independence Day weekend across Central Oregon, and during this time, we're looking at tons of sunshine. If you've been waiting for our temperatures to get back into the 80s and maybe even some 90s, then Independence Day weekend is coming right in time for you, because it's going to be perfect for hitting the trails or going out and paddleboarding or even floating the river. And it looks like the heat is coming, and with that additional sunshine, you'll want to take a couple extra precautions. Number one, stay hydrated, especially if you're spending a lot of time outdoors with your family or friends. Number two, use sunscreen. Reapply that sunscreen every couple of hours, because the UV intensity forecast is going to be very high. We're going to get to that as well. And if you're planning on staying out after sunset for these nights, know that it is going to get a little bit cool. So if you're one that gets cooler quicker than others, you might want to bring a light jacket, even for the Independence Day fireworks displays that are happening throughout Central Oregon. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, let's get back to satellite imagery. Instead of looking at that blend of visible and infrared satellite, this is just IR satellite, infrared, and there's an enhancement that really pulls out those tall clouds. The reason that's important is where there is thunderstorm activity. We can see that over parts of Idaho, getting into Montana, Wyoming, that thunderstorm activity. See how those clouds are red? Those brighter colors correlate with the higher cloud tops. And over Central Oregon, there are some upper level clouds, but most of it is pretty thin. We could see more cloud cover on cameras than we see here on satellite imagery, but that's just because it's such thin cloud cover that the IR satellite isn't really picking up on it. On the other side of the Cascades, looks like it is a little bit thicker when it comes to the cloud cover, but this is moisture-starved cloud cover, and it's really not going to bring much at all in the way of precipitation to Central Oregon. On top of that, those white lines, those solid white lines, are isobars, or constant lines of constant pressure, equal lines of pressure, if you will. And when they start to stack up like that and get a little tighter, that means breezy conditions. And it is getting breezy here through the rest of this afternoon. Now, our main weather pattern is going to be driven by a broad ridge of high pressure that's anchored out over the Pacific Ocean into the northern Pacific, almost into the Gulf of Alaska. This high pressure is amplifying, and as it develops further to the north, it's pushing the jet stream further over Alaska and the interior of Canada. And so it's taking the storm tracks out of our region, out of the Pacific Northwest. That's going to leave us under tons of sunshine through this holiday weekend and well into next week. By Monday, a little shift in our weather pattern, but we'll get to that. But when it comes to the high resolution forecast model, it doesn't go out as far, but it does show a really good, paints a really good picture of what's going to happen. Here through the rest of this afternoon, we catch more of this cloud cover, then that thins out. We're back to tons of sunshine Friday, keeping that sunshine through the afternoon with some PM clouds, a little breezy at times. By Saturday, even fewer clouds across the high desert. Now, winds aren't going to be the big issue until you take into account how we have winds that are almost 10 to 20 miles per hour. We have very dry surface fuels. Any fires that any fires that start, I should say, are likely to spread rapidly. And on top of that, it's just very dry across central Oregon, and there's just no precipitation through this entire weekend. So even today, relative humidity values before 3 p.m. are sitting in the 20s with a few 30s, and a couple spots almost into the teens. By tomorrow afternoon, and then Saturday and Sunday afternoons, we're looking at very dry, critically dry conditions where these humidity values are going to be in the teens and single digits. Remember, all that is percentage-wise. But with those very dry conditions, with the stronger winds, we do have an elevated risk of fire danger. As of right now, the only fire weather watch in effect for anywhere touching central Oregon is over Wasco County and getting into the northeastern corner of the state. Now, that does dip a little sliver of that over Jefferson County, but I'm also keeping these elevated fire danger conditions in play for Central Oregon as well. We just don't issue the warnings like the National Weather Service. However, we are going to be tracking that all the way through this weekend, especially with the nature of this weekend. It is 250th birthday, and some people could be using fireworks. We know there are several fireworks displays, so we're going to keep a close watch on anything that develops from that. Now, when it comes to temperatures, today we topped out so far in the 70s with a few 80s, and the forecast high was 79. We still have a little heating left to go. Peak heating is going to be around 4 or 5 p.m., and it's just before 3 o'clock. And meanwhile, right now, those temperatures are mostly in the 70s with a few 80s. So we are at the high temperature so far today, right now. And we are running between 5 and 10 degrees warmer than just 24 hours ago. And that is going to pull those temperatures up into the upper 70s, some low 80s. But by 7 o'clock, we're back into the 70s, then 60s. So if you're headed out to Munchin Music tonight, or you're doing anything else outside, both tonight and tomorrow is First Friday. But keep in mind that if you're staying out past sunset, you might want to bring a light jacket because those temperatures going from 9 to 11 o'clock are falling through the 60s. And so if you're one of those folks that gets a little cooler, a little quicker, that's where you might want to bring that light jacket. But overnight, we fall back into the 40s, and a few 30s and 50s are going to be possible, but they'll be our outliers. And then through the day tomorrow, we heat up even more, mid to some upper 80s, a few 90s even possible. And here's that UV intensity forecast. Sunshine is expected. A little bit of AM cloud cover thins out, and by the afternoon, a little bit of cloud cover as well. And so few clouds are expected, but we're getting back up to 9. Very high for the UV intensity forecast, which is between 0 and 12 plus. And then by Sunday and Monday, we get a little dip in that, but it doesn't go very far. It's still going to be very high. And now let's talk about temperatures and just the general flow of everything. This is a forecast model that doesn't so much focus on showers or precipitation. What it does is it shows us what we refer to as geopotential heights, which is the thickness of the atmosphere between a couple of levels. So it helps point out where the low pressure is, where the high pressure is, where the jet stream is, all that stuff that we love to talk about as scientists. But as we go forward through Friday, it will be getting quite a bit warmer, and tons of sunshine is expected after some AM clouds. Highs well into the 80s. By Saturday, 80s with a few 90s. Tons of sunshine, and this high pressure is setting up to become the dominant feature that's driving our weather pattern through the Pacific Northwest all the way through this week. And by and by Sunday, we're looking at 80s and a few 90s. By Monday, 90s with some 80s expected. So it just keeps heating up, and that best chance of rain holds off until Monday because that's when we have the highest potential for some convection. We could see a little bit of the atmosphere starting to stir. Now, between now and Sunday at 11 p.m., look just south of Central Oregon over Klamath and Lake counties. That's where some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms are expected. And then by Monday, that potential for convection works its way a little further to the north. So going forward through the next several days, we do have some roller coaster temperatures, but the biggest headline is we're heating back up. Temperatures are coming back into that summertime range that we're more familiar with for this time of the year, and then surpassing the average high, getting into the mid to upper 80s with low 90s Monday and Tuesday. Notice on Monday we have that chance of some sprinkles. It's a chance. Let's talk about it. Here's your forecast model. I'm going to show you two more forecast models. The first one is the one we typically use every night on air. The second is the GFS, or a long range forecast model, and get a little further into next week. So the one we typically use on air every night, that one does show that tonight we get some clearing. The next couple of days, more sunshine than cloud cover is expected, especially on Saturday. Remember, Saturday is when we have that elevated risk of fire danger, and that continues into Sunday as well. And then by Sunday afternoon and evening, some showers, a few thunderstorms over Klamath and Lake counties. It's just south of Central Oregon. So some of our viewers, some of you that are in Crescent, maybe as far south as even Chiloquin, and then getting over into Christmas Valley and then Lakeview, Klamath Falls, that's where that chance of thunderstorms is. At this point, looks like a low risk of severe weather, but a chance of thunderstorms nevertheless. And then it doesn't quite get into Monday, so we have to go to the long-range forecast model for that. And just to verify, it does look like after today's clouds, more sunshine than clouds Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then Monday, we have more cloud cover and a chance of some PM showers with a low risk of thunderstorm activity. And Tuesday, we're back to more sunshine than cloud cover. So this one, it's not as high of resolution, but it does help paint the picture of Monday. There's a chance of a few showers and thunderstorms, and anything that develops, we're going to be tracking for thunderstorm activity. So between now and 11 p.m. Sunday, no precipitation in sight. The best chance of precipitation between now and Sunday is going to be on Sunday, just south of Central Oregon. And then by Wednesday, this time next week, getting closer to this time next week, there is going to have been some shower activity, and that mostly comes through on Monday. So when it comes to wind gusts, right now, not too shabby at all. Gusts are between 7 and 14 miles per hour. Actual winds, 2 to 12 miles per hour. And going forward through this afternoon, we get up to 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusts potentially up to 25 miles per hour, winds swing around to the northwest. And then overnight, tapering winds, a gentle breeze, winds swing back around to the south, and that same pattern continues through the day Friday. So we'll be wrapping up the work week with tons of sunshine, super dry conditions, no rain in sight, and winds that aren't going to be too strong. But then by Saturday, we pick that back up to 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting up to 25. And the same wind direction pattern, south becoming northwest. And when it comes to temperatures tonight, you can expect 40s with a few 30s and 50s out there. Then by tomorrow, on Friday, we'll be wrapping up this work week with 80s and a few 90s. Notice some clouds out there. Now, that'll be early cloud cover. That clears out pretty quickly. And then our 7-day planner shows that we go from the 80s into the low 90s. And then by Wednesday and Thursday, the high pressure starts to flatten a little bit. That brings a dip in temperatures. More in and out clouds are expected, but still very dry. The best chance of precipitation through the entire week holds off till Monday, and it's not even a good chance of rain. But there is the potential of some developing thunderstorms. We'll just keep an eye on that. We'll track that for you. Now, when it comes to our weather headlines for this Thursday, July the 2nd, more sunshine ahead and a big heating trend continues with PM breezes. It will be very dry across the high desert. And one more glimpse at that, one more glance at satellite and radar, and what we see is clouds out there, just no precipitation in sight. There are some sprinkles on the I-5 corridor, but by the time that gets closer to Central Oregon, I really think the mountains are going to absorb most of that. So if you're headed out tonight to Munchin Music or doing anything else across Central Oregon that takes you out, keep that in mind that more clouds are expected, maybe a few sprinkles, breezy at times, and then getting cool after sunset. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecasts. See you then.